Live and local with coverage you can count on. This is WNEMTV5 Wake Up.
Hey, good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks so much for waking up with TV5. Of course, Friday, May 29th. I'm Blake Keller. We're so glad you're joining us this morning. We're expecting a cooler day here in mid-Michigan, especially after a few days of that heat. Meteorologist Kylie Miller is with us this morning. She's tracking your forecast. Hey, Kylie.
Blake, we are talking about some relief in the temperature department. Temperatures today will be in the lower 70s, and then over the weekend, middle 60s. We're dealing with rain showers and a few thunderstorms today, but then we're going to be drying on out later on this evening, and then we are going to be left with a gorgeous weekend to look ahead to. Here's a look right now at the First Warn 5 Sky Tracker. You can see these rain showers continuing to move up towards the north and towards the east, picking up some of those heavier pockets of rain on the western half of the state, but that is, yes, coming to us. So for the morning hours, if you're going to be traveling anywhere, make sure to grab the rain gear. If you don't have the rain in your area right now, we're under a mostly cloudy sky. Now, temperatures across the region are very mild as we start this Friday morning. We're in the 60s. We're at 67 degrees in Cairo and Sandusky, 62 for Port Hope and Oscoda, 61 is the current temperature for Gladwin and Clare, 64 for Midland, Mount Pleasant, Alma, and 65 is the current temperature right now in Saginaw, a little bit warmer across I-69. But as we go through the day, temperatures are going to be climbing into the lower 70s for most. Along the lakeshore, temperatures are going to struggle a little bit more. We're going to be calling for the 60s to return here in the region for high temperatures. And the good news is the humidity is also going to be low. So we are not going to be talking about some heat indices for today. So that's some good news. It looks like most of mid-Michigan has the green light good to go as we look at your live on-time traffic map. However, if you are still traveling across portions of Saginaw, Bay, Midland, Gladwin County from the flooding that happened last week, there are still some road closures and some debris out and about, so please be careful if you're traveling in that area. I'll break down the full forecast for you coming up in just a little bit. Blake?
Kylie, thank you. We start with breaking news. Overnight, the Minnesota National Guard has activated more than 500 soldiers to try to control crowds in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Since the Memorial Day death of George Floyd, protests have turned violent. A number of buildings burned and businesses have been destroyed. Ian Lee brings us the details.
Protesters set fire to the Minneapolis police precinct where the 4 officers involved in George Floyd's death worked. They also set off fireworks outside and managed to get inside the building, which had been evacuated earlier in the night.
We could not risk serious injury to anyone.
It was the 3rd straight day that rioting and looting took over parts of the Twin Cities since Floyd was killed Monday.
This is what happens. This is what is built up to this.
Peaceful protests have demanded justice this week, but there's also been widespread destruction, including a number of buildings burnt to the ground.
What we have seen over the past several hours and the past couple of nights in terms of looting is unacceptable.
The 46-year-old Floyd died after being detained on suspicion of passing a phony $20 bill. The 4 police officers have been fired, including Derek Chauvin, the one seen kneeling on Floyd's neck until he lost consciousness.
I will not rush to justice. I'm going to do this right.
Those officers are now the subject of several investigations, including by the FBI and Justice Department.
I am pleading with individuals to remain calm and to let us conduct this investigation.
Many say they want more immediate action.
When we weren't setting fires and we weren't burning down buildings, all you said is just everything takes time. Well, the time's up.
Protesters also took to the streets in cities across the country, including Phoenix, Denver, and New York. Ian Lee, CBS News.
And at 1 o'clock this morning, President Trump tweeted about those protesters, calling them thugs who are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd. He also threatened to send in the National Guard and blamed the city's mayor. The president wrote, quote, "Any difficulty and we will assume control, but when the looting starts, the shooting starts."
What we're hoping is that the feds step up and give us the assistance we need.
Closer to home, Governor Gretchen Whitmer sending out an SOS to Washington. as the state deals with a multi-billion-dollar budget shortfall due to the pandemic. Now, the governor says the shutdown seems to be working as Michigan's COVID-19 curve continues to flatten. Right now, the state has more than 56,000 cases and nearly 5,400 people have died. But the economic toll of this pandemic is adding up in Michigan. Without people working, sales and income taxes, money our government depends on, are being wiped out. Governor Whitmer and State Budget Director Chris Kolb are expecting the state to lose more than $6 billion in tax revenue over the next 2 fiscal years.
But with a general fund that has been flat for more than 20 years, there's very little left to cut from state government without impacting essential and critical services and programs.
It's hard to overstate the magnitude of the cuts we're going to see the longer this shutdown continues.
Now that's Chris Douglas, an associate professor of economics at U of M Flint. He says aside from reopening the economy, there's little option. Major cuts will happen. The school aid fund is in the hole around $3 billion, which could lead to class sizes doubling and massive teacher pay cuts. But Governor Whitmer says she's focused on prioritizing education in the budget. She and state employees have taken pay cuts and froze spending, and she is asking the federal government for help. As Governor Whitmer asks for aid, the federal government is paying for National Guard members to help with the pandemic at least until mid-August. President Trump announced the extension in a tweet yesterday that keeps Guard members under the direction of their governors, with the federal government footing the bill. That status was set to expire on June 24th. The Owasso barber who defied Governor Whitmer is now taking his fight to the state Supreme Court. Carl Mankey is appealing a ruling that would force him to close his business, which he reopened in defiance of an executive order by Governor Whitmer. The State Court of Appeals determined a lower court judge was wrong not to enforce that order. The appeals court decision will remain on hold until the Supreme Court decides whether to accept the case. And in response to an 8-step reopening proposal by salon owners across Michigan, the governor said her administration will continue to follow the science. And while there's no set exact date for salons to reopen, non-essential medical, dental, and veterinarian procedures will resume today. The governor made that announcement last week. Newly reopened facilities will need strict protocols to avoid spreading infection. And also today, more casinos will open. The Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe, along with 3 others, will open casinos, including Soaring Eagle and Saguenay Eagles Landing. New safety protocols will be in place, including limiting the number of guests inside the casino, requiring staff to wear personal protective equipment, and there will also be enhanced cleaning procedures. Well, another successful mask giveaway last night, courtesy of TV5, the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation, and several businesses. As she did a couple of weeks ago in Saginaw, our colleague Megan McLeod helped hand out thousands of face masks at CMU's McGurk to help people reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19.
People got anywhere from 4 to 20 masks, depending on their household size. So I think it went really well.
Now, there was also a giveaway at Shepherd High School. Well, more local news. The United Way of Saginaw County is hosting a flood cleanup distribution drive-through today. Cleaning supplies, towels, essential items, personal care and hygiene, baby diapers, household necessities, and more are needed. The event will be held at the Freeland Sports Zone from 9 until 3. And you can also donate toiletries for flood victims today as well. The Great Lakes Bay Region Alliance office in Freeland is collecting shampoo, conditioner, disposable razors, toothpaste, and other essentials. That drop-off is between 9 and noon. TV5 News Time is 6:08. An investigation into 2 mid-Michigan dam failures will continue. Hear why the state says they can lead the charge even though they're being sued. And the coronavirus is having a devastating impact on cancer patients. What researchers found linking the 2 deadly diseases.